I like to say, mother, father, sister, brother, that we continue to have love and affection one for another. Yes, common humanity mission, communicating with precision and clearer image to the world, coming in the spirit of cooperation, guided by coordination, speak from the authority of resiliency, which is resiliency is the author of success. Preacher preaches the teacher of teacher when it comes to reverence from the heart. May we be in awe of what has been created and the success thereof. And may we reflect that success when it comes to the knowledge, the wisdom, understanding, the harmony, and the peace. So there it is, in the best of salutations. Peace. I have with me today Brother Bilial Muhammad, as he's going to share what's on his heart, and as he speaks from the spirit of his soul. Brother Bilial, what's going on, brother? Peace. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Walaikum assalam. Yes, begins with God's name, merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer. We thank God always for opportunities like this, and how God brings this about. A lot of times, once again, we're still dealing with how we perceive a thing and our perception of that thing that we're perceiving. We want to look at pain, when people are in pain and suffering. Because of that lack of understanding, sometimes they blame God. You see it. They blame force outside themselves for it, when it's really their own fault. When you get right down to it, we say 90% of the things that happen to the human being is done to their own, by their own hand. And they know that, but they don't want to. They don't want to come clean. You see, and that's a form and a means of repentance as well. So they don't want to come clean with themselves and say, yeah, it's my fault. They know when they think about it, it's their fault. They know that privately. But outwardly to others, because of the image that they got, they don't want to mess up that fault, that image that they think that, you know what I'm saying, that they put out there themselves.
Yes, sir.
So,
That's pain. It's still pain for a minute, right? Now, pain is a human feeling. A human is a human emotion. Is that correct?
right.
So if that's the case, it is something that is natural. Now, one thing I realize about pain, it is designed, really, I see it, is to, ground you in reality, put you back in reality.
Yes. Right.
What's that, brother? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's put you back in reality. And I liken it to reality in this wise, and then you come in on me. I like it to always say three ways of expression. One is dealing with communication, because you deal with a cause and effect. And when you deal with communication, realize that everything is transacting with something else. And then it deals with family, order, duty, and responsibility of that which we must give account for. You know what I'm saying? That's the consequences of our actions. You see what I'm saying? And then it deals with humanity, your talents, your gifts, and your resources. So what I'm saying is that we must learn to continue to learn how to communicate as a family our humanity.
Right. One thing, I just want to read something.
Yes, sir.
Briefly, what the Imam says about dealing with the world of suffering souls. And in that, the Imam says what we're talking about here is potential, human potential.
Yes, sir.
The potential, first he says the potential in the earth, in the heart of the earth, which he says the heart of the earth means the potential in man's intellect. That's the point he's trying to establish. He mentions on Egyptian mythology, religious myth, or on the science of the dead, the living in hell. They believe that the sun comes up out of the earth. And he said the sun comes up, we see it. Then it goes down and passes through the darkness under the earth. And going through the darkness is the underworld. That's the underworld. It's the world of darkness, and it's also the world of the suffering souls, the souls in torment, and it has to free itself from that. So what keeps it going is trials, difficulty, while suffering all of that. It has to go through all of that to prepare it to rise again. So this is again because of, and this is we're just talking about all of humanity, no one particular race, just because of what humanity has done to itself throughout history, from generation to generation. They're so far behind this understanding here
Yes, sir.
that J. Rogers said it back in 1915 that America could get all their greatest minds together and he'd still be 5,000 years behind. So, and in any country, leadership is always judged by the masses of the people. If you want to see how good leadership is or how bad it is, look at the people.
Yes, sir.
The condition of the people.
Yes,
That'll
sir.
tell you.
Yes, sir. It's a good point. Because as you say earlier, because I realized, and through the teachings of Brother Imam Wallace D. Muhammad, is that we're always like the victim. No, we are victims of our own transgression. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, which is clear. But and I realized this, and I may be deviating a little bit but I realize is that when it comes to this violence, I have realized that violence is the result of an unresolved status. If you don't know who you are, you're more prone to participate in acts of violence. So what I'm saying is violence really is a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy and insecurity. And then you try to compensate for that by being aggressive and obsessive when it comes to violence. Now, I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting, and that's something that I learned from a sister who made that transition, about Sister Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, and she wrote in her book the ISIS Papers. Yes.
Again, the struggle is with the self, and understanding who the self is. That's a constant struggle. So, man, you come here, you want to understand why you're here, what's your purpose here. But first, you got to know who yourself is first. Once you understand who self is, then that'll answer those other questions. So that's the struggle. The struggle is within the self.
Yeah, now, what's the name said this? One, two things come to my mind while you're talking. There was an interview with an Arab brother, and this Arab brother, for the sake of communicating, and it was him and another, I guess, top-notch official in America. You can call that in America. So they use that term. Is that he was talking about the Arabs, and the Arabs say, well, "What about you?" He says, "So you got all this wealth or money, but what type of quality of people are you producing?" You know what I'm saying?
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Which made a lot of sense. And then we talking about the key. The ancients gave us the key when you talking about know thyself. You talking about people who know and think they know, and then they don't know, and the people who know they know, and know not that they know. All they gave us, that's really integration, but that's the person inside of you. There's a simple person you teach, and there's a dangerous person you stay away from, and there's the wise person that you listen to and follow, and there's the one who you have disregard for. He's just a fool. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things really resides in us, and it's the key to knowing self. If there's some things about yourself you just should do your best to stay away from if it's not healthy.
If you're wise.
Yes, sir. That's the key.
If
you're wise. That's right. That's right.
Because some people they feel they have a need to indulge in certain things.
Yes.
Like, for example, I've worked hard all week, so I want to indulge in smoking reefer or drinking, things of the world.
Right.
You see, because they figured, quote unquote, well, I've earned that.
Right.
No, you haven't earned that.
Yeah.
Because now you're diminishing yourself and your view of yourself.
Yes.
See?
Yes, that's what's up. That's what's up, because I also realized this is that I said that people are suffering from the value of self-worth. That's a hell of a thing to try to bring people to know that you're suffering from the value of self-worth. And I realized that worth is in the degree but not in the value. Because remember, if anything, we're talking about trying to be an example for anything, because we can't imitate anyone. We have to be ourselves. So I say that there's degrees of development, and there are degrees of maturity. Now I deal with the five senses. I deal with the five. Everything is five. I said society is under social reconstructions, where our feelings are becoming desensitized, our thoughts demoralized, our attitude dehumanized, our communication devitalized, and our activity become destabilized. For me, that's the five five senses. But under certain teachings, they go to the seven that represents perfection. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's so it's like the ascension. The prophet, peace be upon him, his ascension was seven.
yeah.
Seven up, see?
Yes, sir.
And eight down, see? So eight represents, seven is completion, eight begins, new beginning, you see? So, the wise know this. You see, they understand that, they know this. But unfortunately, they use it for their own, their own means of controlling people.
Now, ain't that something that, you got a soda called what? 7-Up.
7 Up. That's right, 7 Up. That's right.
Yeah, so we always want to climb, we always want to go up because up represents, perpendicular. It represents something that is straight up. Because Dr. King said that a man can't ride your back unless it's bent. That means you got to lift yourself up. Now think about this. We can learn something from a child. Now we look at a child when he or she is crawling on 4 legs. Then all of a sudden they try to stand up, need the support on their own 2 feet. And when you look at correct interpretation of the universe or the star, you look at it, they are supported in by a system. And even when you look at the capital A, it's a letter A, it's an A-frame. It's standing on its own 2 feet. Because planet Earth is a sense of stability. It's a grounding. Go ahead, brother.
Like you said, with the child is going to imitate his environment. He sees, okay, I'm supposed to be able to do that. Didn't say what age you're supposed to do that. You see, even though they're bigger and taller than him and older,
yes,
that's not the question.
Yeah.
The child just sees, well, I'm supposed to be able to do that.
Yes.
So I'm starting now.
Yes, sir.
You see, I'm gonna make my effort now.
Yes,
I'm gonna hold on to the bed or whatever. These legs are gonna get stronger because I know I'm supposed to be able to do that.
Yes, sir.
You see, thinking is the same way. You're in an environment, and what's dominant thinking in that environment, if it's ignorance, people are being somewhat rewarded.
Yes.
People perceive that as being rewarded.
Yes.
I get a job.
Yes.
You do this. No intelligence required, or very little intelligence required. You see, all I got to physically show up, do as I'm told, blah, and that's it.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So there's no incentive there for the growth of the intellect.
Now, it's a key word because the growth of the intellect. Because we're here as it pertains to our human development and the development of our intellect when it comes to excellence.
Right.
Excellence. Yeah, because look at it in this industrial industry here. A factory worker. A factory worker, when he gets up in the morning, he punch in. Then there is a horn that goes off for him to take lunch. And then the horn that goes off probably, what time to get off work. I'm just trying to say that's the same comparison with school. So we're trained that way.
And it's the non-human element that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
A horn is going off.
Yeah.
There's no human interaction there.
Yes, sir.
There's no human saying, okay, it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
No, we're going to speak to you through an inanimate object.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to respond.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? That's their perception, and
Now you're getting into something. Now you're getting into some teachings when it comes to the call by Bilial. That's a human call.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
That's a human engagement,
Right.
a human interaction
Right.
for us to come together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
It wasn't a bell,
Yeah.
like the Christians use, and it
Yeah.
wasn't the horn
Yeah.
that the Jews used.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes,
It was the natural
Yes.
human voice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, speaking on that, how powerful that is.
Yes, sir.
And I believe it was Neil Armstrong. He was on the moon in 68, 69. When he was up there, he heard something. He couldn't quite intelligibly describe what it was. And he came back to Earth, on Earth. That whole story in itself is something. Here you are, 250,000 miles away. That's how far the moon is, 230,000 miles. You hear something. You don't know where it's coming from. You can't say, man, that just came from Earth. You don't know that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's humanly impossible because you don't believe it's possible anyway for a voice to travel that far. So once he came back on Earth and traveled to Egypt and he heard it, he made the connection. And that's what inspired him to accept Islam.
Yeah.
You see, he said, that's what I heard on the moon.
Yeah.
You see? So, I mean, I guess that would, that could really inspire somebody to scare him too.
Yeah, it will. Because that's what I said. Because remember, we're talking about because remember, they said that the poor don't have a voice. So, when people come to represent the poor, so I say you have to be the voice of humanity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
What does that mean?
What you mean, the
What you
voice of
just said?
humanity?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm talking about the human soul, the soul
Right.
of
Right.
humanity.
Right. Right. I got you
Yeah,
there. I got
yeah,
you there. What I'm saying is, when we say that, so
yeah,
people understand better.
yeah, yeah,
When we say the voice of humanity,
yeah,
meaning you're speaking the unadulterated truth.
yeah,
You see, and you're an example of it as well. So that it's like the same thing in the prophet.
yeah,
When he was here, his teaching of truth and of the revelation,
yeah,
it inspired what the Europeans
yeah,
were
right,
many miles away
right,
from him. You see,
right,
somebody heard it, a spark.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? The
right,
idea, that
yeah.
kind of thing,
And
how it travels.
let's look at the, and since she brought that up,
Mm-hmm.
let's build on that, because remember, I've learned that we talk about humanity,
Mm-hmm.
that the material in which you build on humanity is your character.
Right.
And your character is the outgrowth of your humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is a call, it's almost like an architect to build on one's humanity. Now, you got to feel the plight and the flaws of the people. Once you understand the plight and you can feel the pause of the people, you know that you can bring them to life. You know what I'm saying? Because in this society at which we live, as I say, our feelings are becoming desensitized. That means that we're becoming so numb that we have less accountability and we become less credible. You know what I'm saying? We have the capability, but yet we don't. We must restore the credibility, and that's the credibility to build on on our humanity with character, because we're talking about hearing the voice of the people.
Well, God hears everything. Matter of fact, God, we ain't even gotta say nothing. God said He knows that which is revealed and that which is not revealed.
Yes.
You see, so whatever a person says within the quietness of their own heart, you see, or mind, God knows about it. You see, so with that, like the problem is a lot of people don't know how to go about changing. You see,
Well, I realize this here, dude. Now, before I go to change, I realize that when I look at the voice, the voice could represent a sound, right? And a
no,
sound.
excuse me. What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
when they hear the voice,
Yeah.
I'm just saying people hear these ideas and stuff come to them.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't know how to motivate themselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? From
Yeah.
their present situation that
Right.
they're stuck in.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
move.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
move out on that.
I got you. I was just
Okay.
building on it,
Okay.
yeah, because he who has ears, let him hear. You have an ear, but you may not be hearing, might be
Right.
listening.
Right.
Listening is critical, because when I'm saying the voice represents it's a numeric numbers. It represents something. It's something that transforms you, because we can have all the information all day long, but there is no transformation. But when you hear the voice, it transforms you. Any information that you get, and if that information is strong enough, it should be. If you hear that voice, the information should be able to sustain you. It should change you to a higher synthesis.
If you have the right understanding, because again, we're still dealing with with what you perceive and your perception of that. You see, so a person can mention one thing that's worked for them,
Yeah.
but it may not work for them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Or it may, but they just haven't found the right methodology in using that information you're giving them on how to use it. So that's a lot of times that's where people are stuck at.
Now, I think it's here. Now, I got you there, too. Let's build on that, too, now. Because one thing I realized, when you have balance, understanding speaks clearly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you have balance, understanding speaks clearly,
Right.
man. So, and you think about it, when you're clear, you realize that something becomes clean. Or when it's clean, it's clear. And clean is clear, you become concise. That means you don't speak presumptuously. You know what I'm saying? You just don't just spear off for something. It's like you're making, as James Brown would say, you're talking loud and saying nothing, just like a dull knife. Anything that is dull, you got to remember is dead.
Right.
And far too many times, I think many times, that many of us are still not making the transition from the past. Because remember, the past is just a reference point, it's not a place of residence. And I'm talking about in teaching, I don't care, because you can have 1,000 people, but yet they're ineffective or ineffective.
Because when, like for example, the younger generations, they'll say, okay, in the future, which they're talking about them when they get older, you see how your environment is now.
Yeah.
Okay. And in your future life, when you get older, what is it from here that you would take with you, and what would you leave behind? So that goes with what you're saying. People are still living from the past,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
they're holding on to,
Right,
don't want to let go of.
right, right.
But they don't apply in this day and time.
Yeah, yeah,
See, the
yeah.
application ain't there.
The application,
So
right,
there's the conflict.
right,
Mm-hmm,
right, right. Because they
mm-hmm,
said, you said before, we said perception is what? You said the email said, because I used that. Perception
It's,
is,
when you're perceiving something that which is perception, that means you're on your way to reality.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's not reality.
yeah, yeah.
Perception is not reality, as some people think.
It's on,
You're on your way to
you're on
reality.
your way to reality.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right, right. Yes, right. Because it says even in that in the Quran talks about Lot's deliverance. Lot deliverance is when he left. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He left that past what?
Mm-hmm.
Behind him. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. All
So
of them did.
yeah, man.
All of them did.
Yeah, man. So we talking about being delivered from something.
Mm-hmm.
You got to leave up the past what? Behind you.
You know, I mean, Noah had to do the same thing with the flood.
Yeah.
It wasn't a literal flood.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay if somebody want to, use that
Yeah,
reference.
yeah,
It's okay, but it wasn't. It was symbolic
yeah.
of of the passions of the people and whatnot. He's leaving that behind.
Yeah.
He said, told his son,
Yeah.
and tried to warn his son, but his son felt, well, you know, I can be in. When he said I can get to the highest point, flood won't drown him. Basically, he's talking about being the government.
Yeah.
You see, and I rule over this.
Yeah.
But he said, no, nothing's going to save you this day.
Right. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
see,
sir.
it's
Yes,
gonna.
sir.
Everybody's going to succumb to this.
Yes, sir.
See?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you're human.
That's right. That's right. And that's a key thing when you talking about the being inundated with with our passions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because our passion, and that's what Imam said. Always talking about another brother. Brother Dennis Assad was talking about a gather that he had. That I remember I told you I was gonna go to that into thing, and so forth. So we talked about it. I don't want to elaborate on it more. But I talked with him today, and he was talking about something transpired. But I realized that even it's too much emotion and not enough logic. There is no balance, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, emotion blocks out logic.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that seems to be the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you gotta calm your emotions down.
Right.
And listen to the logic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. But again, if you're very passionate about something, strongly passionate about something, that's a challenge for that person. Because they and once again, that also requires patience.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a practice of patience.
That's a heck of a thing because for me, I realized that patience also puts you at an advantage because you become competent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we here with Brother Bilial Muhammad, and we we're building as we exchange information. And one thing I realized about information, you are in formation. When you are in formation, you are in uniformity. And that's how this system is. It's in uniformity. You know what I'm saying? So that's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying?
And people don't understand that being in uniform, and early man discovered that. He looked up, and that's what he called heaven.
Yeah.
Because of its unity, you see, and its consistency.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
not deviating.
Yes, sir.
Or anything. So he called that heaven. And then obviously, if you go away from that, then he consider that hell.
That's a good one there.
Right.
That's a good one.
Right.
I like that. I like how that was put. Because I realized I've learned that oneness is stronger than diversity, and unity is stronger than conflict. So people always say, well, there ain't no tawhid or oneness, or what talking about in the Quran, what they talking about, ain't no oneness or unity, or the word or something that's in
Tawhid.
Tawhid, yeah.
Yeah, tawhid.
Yeah, yes sir. But when you look at the universe, there's unity there. It's in the system, supported by the system. Yeah.
And again, early man came up with that language, that word universe, meaning one language.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I realized one thing about the language. The language is designed to encourage. I mean, it's to uplift you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that which uplifts you evangelize. When you evangelize, you do what? You spread it horizontally. Huh?
And if you go astray, then that same system will go against you. It will destroy you. I mean, man going into his extremes, whether it's homosexuality, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to extremes. One thing the man says, it's a search for knowledge, but you're only going to be there for a certain time.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to come to an end.
Yes, sir.
Now, you better hope it's a good ending.
Yes, sir.
You see, when you have a chance to repent and do good, some people, the ending ain't too good. You see, because of their passions are so fired up, they end up killing each other, that kind of thing. See, that's what I mean. That's what I meant by that.
Yes,
So
sir.
you better hope. That's why he said in the end, you better hope you like yourself.
Mm.
You
Yes,
see,
sir. Yeah, because
right.
you see what we're really dealing with a lot of self-hatred, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of
And
self-hatred.
the hatred is again not getting away from the person understanding that's their own fault.
Mm.
You see, they know it's their fault.
Mm.
You see, uh, but that's the internal struggle amongst themselves. You see, is how to overcome that without again. They don't want to go away from that image that they've created.
Mm.
You see,
Yeah, yeah.
and people know them by, and they fear the criticizers too.
Yes.
Oh, now you're too goody two shoe.
Yeah.
You can't hang with us anymore.
Right,
You see
right.
that kind of thing
Yes, sir.
because of the they form a past.
Mm.
So a lot of times they don't want to give that up.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then in closing, I realized this here, and Bilal going to say his last words is that I realized that truth cannot be sacrificed to any interest.
Mm-hmm.
Only interest can be sacrificed,
Right.
for truth.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, yes,
And
sir.
unfortunately, that happens all the time.
Yes, sir.
And it very easily, Dave Chappelle was talking about that. And they were saying how come he didn't accept the $50 million that they were looking to offer him. He said, well, I changed it. There's consequences that come with that.
Yes, sir.
You see, he said you may not see them outward, but privately,
Yes, sir.
there's consequences to taking that type of money. And then the reason why you're taking it.
Yes, sir.
You see,
Yes,
so
sir.
so you always have to be remain conscious of things like that.
And we're always minded that we always got to be clear that there is consequences
Mm-hmm.
to our actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize this is that a truly educated person is one that has the responsibility to teach people to have affection for discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any closing remarks, Brother Bilal?
No, we just want to thank you, and thank God for this opportunity, and we hope those in our listening audience enjoy what they heard and gotten something out of it.
So be it. And remember, Common Humanity Mission, communicating with precision, a clear image to the world. And remember, if you want to donate, give to the gift of social literacy. That's what we say, give to the gift of social literacy as we promote the value of self-worth.
Mm.
Common Humanity Mission is the name of the organization. Thanks, Brother Bilal, as always, as we depart in the greeting words of peace in Arabic. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Till next time, talk to you.